guest. We have with us Vikram Limai, MD and CEO at IDFC, joining us right now from Mumbai. Vikram, great having you with us. It's a good day to have you with us actually to talk lots about how do we see the whole investment climate improving perhaps in the country as we see a change in leadership perhaps next year. But let's talk about what's happening on ground as of now. You have your ears on the ground firmly. Do we see a pickup on the ground as far as real investment activity is concerned? Do we see the capex cycle reviving perhaps soon? What's the sense you're picking up when you talk to large corporates?
I don't think there's any real pickup in investment activity at this point in time. I think there is certainly hope that if things stabilize and if execution challenges are reduced, that there is obviously a lot of investments waiting to happen. So my hope is that based on some of the announcements that the government has made over the last 5-6 months, once those get implemented, there will be some improvement in cash flows of projects and completion of projects that are currently under construction and development. And there will be an improvement in sentiment that will result in investment activity picking up. Although, as you rightly said, that will always happen with a lag. So it's not going to happen immediately.
But if you're not seeing a pickup in investment activity, is there a pickup in outlook? Is outlook improving when you talk to large corporates? If not today, or if not tomorrow, or if not the next month, are they sounding much more optimistic about bidding out large projects, bidding out large contracts, maybe 6 months down the line? Maybe they are waiting for just a change at the center. Maybe some of their projects have gotten cleared. They just want some clarity on the political front, on the policy front before large investments start to happen, or is that still uncertain? Everybody is just playing the waiting game right now.
So I'll make a couple of observations. I think it does appear that we are close to the bottom, if not at the bottom, and so going forward things should improve. As I said, in the next 6 months, one should not expect any kind of major policy changes from government, given that these are the last 6 months of this government. But there is a lot that can be done in terms of implementing some of the things that have been announced by government, which are all positive in the last 5-6 months, whether it's in power or telecom or roads. So if we're able to implement what has actually been announced, that itself will get sentiment to get much better, and some of the projects to get debottlenecked and improvement in cash flows. I think it's fair to say that people are playing the wait and watch game to see how the elections unfold middle of next year. And then certainly depending on what the outcome of the elections are, depending on the industry you're talking about, there should be a pickup in the investment cycle. As far as infrastructure is concerned, as I've said before, infrastructure was one area where there was support across all political parties in terms of getting infrastructure development expedited. So our hope is that some of the changes that have been announced do get implemented, and once cash flows and balance sheets of developers improve, they will be in a much better position to start thinking about new projects.
So hi, this is Bianca also joining in. It is understood that obviously at this point in time we've seen quality lending becoming harder and harder, and across the board you're seeing a bit of a general deterioration in loan book. If the sense that you have is that we've hit the bottom, or we're somewhere around that area, and we're likely to see a pickup from here on, then how long do you expect before your loan book turns around?
Like I said, it's new investments in infrastructure will take some time, right? Because there have to be projects that get bid out. Developers have to have equity to invest in new projects. So I don't expect new project development activity to pick up in a hurry. But what is important is, as I said, if you get some of the disputes, claims, etc., to get resolved relatively soon, it will improve the cash flows of developers, and they will be in a better position to start investing in projects. It also requires government to bid out new projects. So as we've seen, even as far as roads are concerned, right now the government is getting more work done through EPC contracts, but I'm sure BOT project bidding will happen sometime in the near future. Right now it's more EPC work that's going on.
Right. do you expect cost of borrowing to remain elevated for some more time? And by extension, if I may ask you what your expectations might be of the RBI's next policy meeting and options that it has at this point in time?
I think rates will probably remain elevated for some time, because unless inflation comes off, I think the Reserve Bank is unlikely to cut rates. I think we have to also try and figure out when tapering actually does begin in the United States, the impact of that on flows into Indian debt and equity instruments, and the impact that is likely to have. So I think at this point in time, I would say that for the foreseeable future, I expect rates to remain elevated.
Vikram, can you talk about NPAs? I remember tracking the performance when you had revealed second quarter numbers. I had the chance to look at the analyst meeting as well, where you had given a guidance of net NPAs of about 1% over the next 6 to 12 months. You reiterate that guidance?
Yeah, as we've said before, right now our net non-performing assets are 0.2%, and that is clearly not sustainable given all the risks that exist in the system. So we've guided to NPAs being anywhere between 1 and 1.5%, and I would stay with that guidance for now.
But do you think there are still some sticky accounts which could create some problems for you, or do you think more or less those issues are resolved? I'm just trying to understand, if you see the rate cycle heading higher from here, if the RBI's hand is forced, how badly will it affect you in terms of asset quality?
See, rates, the issue is not really about rates. Okay, I think the issue has more to do with some of the execution challenges, some of the last mile completion that needs to get done, some of the disputes that need to get resolved in the power sector, some tariff orders that need to be passed. So it's those things that need to fall into place in order to get some of the cash flows to improve for projects, at least as it relates to our book.
May we assume that your provisioning should continue to go down over the next couple of quarters?
See, the overall provisioning level, as we've indicated, we want to see slightly north of 2% as a percentage of the loan book. And right now at the end of the last quarter, I think we were at 1.9%. So I think it will probably inch up a little bit from here. It's not going down.
Vikram, when we talk to experts, when we talk to people who track this sector closely, IDFC has been touted as the favorite. Virtually, it's now being considered as the favorite for a bank license. But then there are pros and cons. For instance, according to some experts, there is going to be an erosion as far as ROEs are concerned. The long-term benefits are there in terms of low cost of deposits and all that, but intense competition on saving bank deposits, higher operating cost, reserve requirement, PSL requirement. So how are you gearing up to actually take advantage of that opportunity whenever it comes your way?
See, as you know, as per the guidelines that were issued by the Reserve Bank, after you get an in-principle approval from the Reserve Bank, you have 18 months to set up the bank. So obviously, we are doing some work right now in terms of thinking through what it would take for us to be effective during that transition period if we were to get a bank license to actually operationalize the bank. So that preparatory work is ongoing right now.
And just one final question. I believe you're also doing the groundwork for another entity, a non-bank of sorts for non-infra loans. Vikram, can you elaborate more on that? What exactly is the game plan? How much loan book growth target are you looking at? How much business, incremental business would come from this new entity?
Now, we haven't said anything about setting up a separate entity for non-infra. What we have said is that if we were not to get a bank license, then we would diversify our asset book away from infra anyway, and that we would probably end up doing through a discrete entity. But that we'll have to wait and see. It really depends on what happens with the bank license, because one of the reasons for going down the banking path was asset diversification. So that we've said is important for us strategically, whether we get into banking or not.
Okay, Vikram, thank you so much for taking time out talking to us. and I really hope that the situation improves in
Thank you very much.
in the investment space, so that at least companies like IDFC start to do well. And again, generally speaking, the investment cycle doing well would actually benefit perhaps the entire economy. Great having you with us, Vikram. It was actually good talking to you. So clearly, investment cycle, Bianca, we need that investment cycle to pick up for the real economy to start improving.